with the youngster Sarr, we've got a lot of talent there. What I saw of him in pre-season looked.
I think he's gone out on
Uh,
loan though, isn't he?
no, no, he's still there. No,
Oh,
he's still
okay.
there. Yeah, isn't he?
I read somewhere that they're
I thought he was
looking
going
either
to
he's gone on loan or they're looking to make a loan happen for
Oh,
him.
right. I
So,
thought
yeah,
Conte was talking about him as if he was staying in one of his post-match
I'd like to see
interviews.
it,
So,
but I'm
yeah,
not sure.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, I think we probably need more than four midfielders, but I don't know whether that means Winks comes back into the fold. But,
Mm.
but so yeah, I'm not sure. I just don't think in the next 2 weeks we'll pick anybody up. I just don't think we're just going to buy anybody. I think we'll wait maybe until January because with the World Cup, it's almost like 2 seasons. And I think the January transfer window is actually going to be more. It's going to be more active this season.
Yeah, maybe we're waiting for a central defender. I still think
Could
we're
be.
looking for this left-sided centre back.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
Steve?
Well, isn't Longley the left-sided centre back? I'm not sure that we'd need to.
I think he
recruit
can be. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I don't know. I think as we'd all like a creative midfielder. I just don't think that, for the reasons we've discussed before, that we'll get one. I think that Conte thinks that we play a certain way, and if you play that way and you continue to work those patterns and be really good at risking the ball in possession and just do your job effectively, the goals will come. As you said, he said he was saying to the players, calm down. He didn't really change the creativity on the pitch on Sunday. He didn't put players that potentially would be more creative into areas that you might think. So, for example, bringing in Mora and putting him in the middle of the pitch, higher up or something, to try and to unsettle Chelsea in some way, get him running. That he didn't do that. He just said, right, go and play wing back. The structure doesn't change. The system doesn't change. We're going to play. That's how we're going to play.
Yeah.
Benton, cause my metronome. He's like, things will tick through him. Højbjerg, as Andy's pointed out, can pick a pass.
Actually, so if I can segue from that, Steve. Maybe we do, maybe we don't do any extra business between now and the next couple of weeks. But what are your feelings? Actually, if I come to you, Rich, what are your feelings on Højbjerg Bentancur partnership? Do you think that will be eventually replaced by Skip and Basuma, or do you think it will stay like that for most of the season?
Well, I think it'll be changed regarding who we're up against, won't it? There are sides where we're going to need to be more physical against, and there are sides that we could be a little bit more, lightweight or have a different focus. And so I don't think that it's. I think we need to get away from thinking about having this fixed first 11, having this first choice starting side, and that actually, the strength in it now is going to be that we are going to have more interchangeable parts, and the system, like Steve said, the system will remain the system. So I don't think it's going to be a case that they'll be replaced. I think it'll all just be far more fluid in terms of selection. And I will just say, while you were talking, I did just check, and Sarr is still at the club, and he was at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. He was in the dugout, and apparently Conte spoke about him in the press conference afterwards, said that he's impressed with the way he's working and that he's a huge prospect. So it looks like he is staying around.
Positive.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I think Chelsea, though, will still. I mean, remember, there's now rumors that they may be getting De Jong and Aubameyang, and again, that kind of. I mean, Frankie. There's a reason why United's been after him. Not least of all because of what happened this past weekend, but I think that again, that kind of midfield talent. Madison has run aground, right? That where did he end up signing?
Yeah, I think
he's still there, isn't he? He's still at Leicester.
I think they've said they're not selling him under any circumstances. So I think that one's dead in the water, and that one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about. He's on loan, isn't he? He's at Preston.
Yep. But I don't know. I got a chance to see him play once, and I miss when teams would do like a large and a little. Like I always felt the season with the Battle of the Bridge, had we had Defoe, had we not gotten rid of Defoe, we saw the contributions he made, that somebody even did in America. I'm telling you, that season...
It's really unusual to see two strikers play now, though, isn't it? It's always just one, you know.
It's because no one plays 4-4-2 anymore, do they?
No, that's right.
Everyone's too clever by half. But do you remember, I mean, Rebrov and Shchenko and Trezeguet and, Del Piero, I mean, those things are beautiful. I love a good... I mean, Dempsey and Pogrebniak, hardly like the names that roll off the tongue, but look what they did for Fulham.
So, do we think that Sessegnon will be hold down the number one spot for that position, or do you think that Perisic is going to take over and Sessegnon will be coming in for some of these sort of basically brought through a bit more, or do you think he sees him as that, the one for that position? What do you feel about that, Simon?
I don't know. I think I worry about Sessegnon. I wonder if he's going to toughen up a bit. He's sort of getting there, but
he's done some boxing training, isn't he? And I just wonder if it's confidence for him more than physical now.
Possibly, but I think whether it's when I say toughen up, I think sometimes mentally as well. But I kind of feel that he is probably a bit too nice, and I don't know whether they can drum it out of him. And surrounding him with people like, maybe Richarlison and Romero and some other shithousers, he'll pick up on that a bit. But I remember watching, when I've seen him previously, he's just like, he's a nice kid and he plays some nice football, but he's just going to get bullied around. So he just needs to toughen up mentally as well as physically.
Yeah. Anyone else got any thoughts on Sessegnon as a player? Happy for him to be number one? Yep. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to the points that you made kind of at the beginning of the pod regarding Perisic starting. And if you listen to the post-match interviews, when Conte's been asked about Perisic, he said he's not the Perisic that he knows yet. So he doesn't think that he's ready. It's as simple as that. He's not ready to kind of start. So he needs to get back to that level. And you've said that he should, that Conte chooses players on merit and stuff like that. And Perisic simply hasn't deserved to start yet in Conte's eyes. So he's there. He's providing some support and technical kind of nous for Sessegnon. Sessegnon admitted that after the Southampton game. The fact that he's arriving at the far post was purely because Perisic told him, get there because you'll get a goal. He's contributing to that side. So it will happen, but
I mean, Perisic is only here for 2 years. He hasn't got long, so he really needs to have an impact this season, I think. So I could see him in the nearest future getting in and being, a pretty much a mainstay, and then Sessegnon coming through and playing in cup games and playing in some games against teams like Southampton, etc. And as a good way of him learning and eventually obviously succeeding in that role, because otherwise why'd you get Perisic in for such a short period?
Well, because I think he's a bit of a stopgap, but he's also experienced. And the thing about Conte and his wing backs is that they always get subbed off, and or most of the time, and I think he'll be coming on at 65 minutes every week, and he's a brilliant player to bring on at that time, even if you're coasting in a game. But if you're chasing a game like yesterday, he made the difference with that delivery, and he is a class player. But you don't want to burn him out either at 34. You want to make sure that you can save him, I think.
Rich?
Yeah, just a couple of points on that, really. Regards, whether he or Sessegnon will remain the first choice in that position. I think Perisic's his role will be more for the Champions League games, won't they? To start with,
I think.
That's a good point. The other thing, listening to one of the other podcasts that I won't name drop at the moment earlier, who had the club's own commentator on as a speaker today, he said that Perisic was injured when he signed, and that he wasn't due to be fit enough to play yet, but he hasn't had a break at all. He went straight into rehab when everybody else had their summer break. And that he's actually put in so much work that he's 3 or 4 weeks ahead of his own schedule. So what Conte may well mean when he says that he's not the guy that he knows yet is probably a fitness thing, because apparently the medical staff at the club didn't expect for him to be in a place to even be a substitute at the moment. So I think we can't really start to judge about what his impact's going to be probably until mid-September perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not like speaking as a 48-year-old guy who's triggered by like, wow, this guy's in his 30s. Let's go easy on him, guys. But there is something that is this indefinable characteristic to these guys that have the big game experience that may not have the wheels that they once did. And I always think about Van de Vaart. Sorry to keep going back to an era, but and I remember Redknapp used to say I could only get maybe 40 minutes out of him, 60 minutes. I have to play him in the hole or whatever. But he played with his heart on his sleeve, and he would G up other players. They would see that by example. And I think that there's players, whether it's Stevie G towards the end of his career, Lampard towards the end of his playing career. You look at Stephen Fletcher and Grant Holt and these other guys. And again, I'm late to the game because as Americans, we didn't really, until we had like Satanta, we really never had a chance to watch games regularly like you lot could. So the thing is, I think that there is a bit of gravitas that these experienced big game players bring to the changing room and bring to the pitch that goes beyond work rate, that goes beyond contributions. And I think that having someone like Perisic there may I guess, inspire, because again, if he's gutting it out through an injury, I think for a younger player to see that's really impressive.
Yeah, and he looks fantastic for his for his age. Look at his absolutely shredded. We were saying this a couple of pods ago, but the man is just like, he doesn't look like he would struggle to get around at all. He looks.
I mean, you mentioned that a few times, Lee. I have to say that's this is not the first time you've mentioned that with that emphasis on.
You have a problem with that?
No.
Listen, brother, I got to shower next to Clarence Seedorf. That dude looks like he's painted on metal, and he has not. He's not lost anything. And Davids even said to him, he goes, "Bro, you could play again tomorrow."
So Andy, I think you had a couple of points, didn't you? You wanted to raise.
Oh yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
Can I clarify that was at Soccer Aid and not like at my house? It wasn't like I was in a.
We'll edit that bit out and keep about Soccer Aid.
That's a slightly less impressive story now. We know.
Yeah, I know. The candlelight, the Beaujolais hit us just right.
I know. I was already on the. I was already writing an email to the Sun there. Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to pick up a point on the tackling in the Premier League this year, because they've changed the rules slightly now, haven't they? And as we saw with the Bentancur tackle on Havertz, you're able to tackle from behind, and as long as you get the ball, they seem to be letting it go. And this is brilliant. I think this is such a great thing, because it's actually allowing tackling back in the game. And I just wonder whether we're going to start seeing the skill of tackling back in the game a bit more, rather than it just being someone falling over, getting a free kick all the time, which is so frustrating. Does anybody else notice that or seeing that happening?
Yeah, they definitely seem to be letting things go more, which I think is, and giving the benefit of the doubt more, which I think is probably why Romero got away with a few. But it's. I think I like it. I think it's. It allows the game to flow better, and it's because we have taken a lot of the physical contact out of the game, and a lot of people haven't liked that. It's been, it encourages, I think, people to fall over and dive all the time. Whereas if you make a good challenge and you just then get on with it, like we saw yesterday, there's a couple of hefty challenges going in, and the game just flowed in because they were allowed. That's part of the game, instead of everyone being so delicate about everything. So I think it's a good move, personally.
I think it makes the referee's job a bit easier as well, because it allows them to have less people wasting time, and that must be disruptive even if you're a ref as well as a player.
Steve?
Non-Spurs related update, but Liverpool just had a man sent off.
Yes.
No, who?
Come on, it's falling apart for them, boy.
Who
We're going
sent
to finish second.
Darwin
Darwin?
Nunes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, what a twat! What a twat!